Lights, camera, action!
Oh man. So some cool stuff has happened this week, and I'll share that with y'all in a future video. But I wanted to make this one real quick because of the bombshell that was dropped on the screenwriter community today. Today being Tuesday, March 25th. So apparently, the Nicholl Fellowship, which is like the big screenwriting competition, it's the one that perhaps any non-produced screenwriter wants to win, or they want to do well in. I hesitate to say win because, Nicholl is a fellowship. It's not really a contest. I mean, it's a fellowship in which however many writers they select, I think it's like maybe like 10, a maximum of 10, their scripts are recognized. They get this nice stipend to help them write their next feature script. And, doing well, being a finalist, a Nicholl Fellowship finalist, or a Nicholl Fellow, just opens so many doors, so many opportunities. You get so many eyes on you. People want to talk to you. They want to read your script. It is what it is. It's prestigious. And it's because the Nicholl Fellowship has always been run by the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, the same organization that honors movies every year with the Oscars. Same organization that has a fantastic museum here in LA. It's like one of my favorite places to go, things to do, things to see in this town. The Academy, big business. Well, it was announced today that the Nicholl Fellowship, the Academy is partnering with how do they put it? Global partners in order to kind of review and accept entries. According to an article on IndieWire, it says that the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences has partnered with global university programs, screenwriting labs, and filmmaker programs to field submissions for its prestigious Nicholl Fellowship. Now, the article is not very detailed, and I think that the Academy also released a press release. And yeah, again, not very detailed. So no one, I think, outside the Academy, outside of this particular initiative, really knows what's going on. But what it seems like to me is that, each year the Academy has gotten more and more entries for the Nicholl Fellowship. It got to the point to where they capped the entries. I think either last year or year before they got 5,500 entries, which is a lot. And it feels like it's become a bit of a burden. It feels like it's become a little too much for what they can do. So beginning this year, they've decided to partner with, schools, I guess schools with film programs, what have you, as well as, what they're calling screenwriter labs and filmmaker programs. But here's the thing. Nicholl was always just kind of open, right? So it's anyone can submit, but you would submit through the Nicholl, portal on the website. The Academy would have their own, portal where you could upload your script and you pay your fee and go from there. Well, it seems that public submissions will only be accepted through the blacklist. And I've talked about the blacklist before, the evaluation website. And my thing about the blacklist, because now I'm just wondering, well, what does this mean? I forget how much it costs to enter Nicholl. I think it might have been $120. I could be wrong. I don't remember. But, it's kind of pricey, But let's just say $120. So you pay your $120 to submit your script, and that's that. But the thing about the blacklist is, as mentioned before, is an evaluation service. And so not only do you have to pay for your evaluation, you also have to pay to have your script hosted on the website. And this is something that I noticed, other kind of like contests and fellowships and initiatives, had done. It's just like, oh, if you want, like a Macro, the management production company Macro, like they were one of the ones where it's just like, oh, if you want to submit to, to our initiative, you have to go through the blacklist, which from my understanding meant that, okay, you have to get an evaluation and you have to host your script on their website. And so now I'm wondering, are the blacklist readers essentially like that first round of judges? Like it's, if your script doesn't get like a good score from the blacklist readers, does this mean that now it won't move up, in the Nicholl rankings or whatever? I don't know. I don't know how this is going to work. And the thing about it is, I feel like the blacklist is hit or miss. I've heard horror stories. I've also heard, success stories, people who are very happy with, how the blacklist, ranked or rated their scripts, evaluated their scripts and everything. But this just, I don't know. This seems very strange to me. It's going to make a boatload of money for the blacklist. So shout out, y'all. But I'm just really curious about how this is all going to go down. This just feels very weird. And it also just feels like another barrier to entry for I would say, people who don't really like have the money or the resources to kind of like do this. In a previous video, I talked about how it seemed like a lot of these lower cost screenwriting services were, had shut down or like whatever, kind of like the affordable ones, and I know that saying, like getting a valuation for 60, 70, 80 bucks, is affordable. But I mean, that's what it was, like a lot of these services cost a lot more. You're paying like, hundreds of dollars for an evaluation, with most of these services. And so I'm looking at something like the blacklist, which carries the evaluation fee, carries the hosting fee on top of that. And again, from what I've seen, if your script does not do this, like if you don't get an evaluation and you don't ensure that your script is hosted and essentially live on the site, then your script becomes ineligible for whatever initiative or contest or fellowship you're submitting for. This is very disappointing for me because I finally feel like I have a script that, is kind of like Nicholl material, and just based on the feedback and everything I've gotten, and I'm talking about Azalea. You guys know that Azalea is my thing right now. I felt like Azalea is the script that I can get out there, enter into these contests and maybe gain some traction, maybe finally get some real notice, right? And it's just kind of weird and disappointing. It's just like, well, should I even take that chance? I don't know. And I'm not the only person who's kind of like dismayed by this. I've already just seen some people like on social media, on Twitter, on Threads, just pretty much asking like, what the fuck? One person says very limited options for writers and shameful that they're forced to use the blacklist. Another person, I worry about using the blacklist. For many years, I've seen writers share horror stories about terrible judging and notes from blacklist readers. Can't see that improving with Nicholl volume. One person says, it's not just contests, but I worry it's the end of writer support in the trenches. Here's another one. I think this is a bad move and not a great look for Nicholl. I think the Academy didn't want to do the work anymore, so they enlisted the blacklist to do it. Between this, AFF controversies, and Screencraft, etc. shutting down, maybe it's the beginning of the end for contests. And then there's this one. The Nicholl Fellowship will probably be dead within 10 years. Submissions are now only through the blacklist, the black hole of money for aspiring writers, and this is going to completely cut off writers of low income. Art is dying, and the industry is killing it. So yeah. I don't know, y'all. Seen some people say, well, hey, at least we still have like Final Draft's Big Break and Page and Austin, even though Austin had its fair share of controversy within the past couple of years with their readers, their judges, and all that nonsense. Yeah, y'all. It's really increasingly becoming clear that the only viable path to any sort of success in this business is to just do it yourself. And that's going to be increasingly hard in this economy. Oh man, oh man. So yeah, that's it. You know, I just wanted to just kind of like get that out, share that, let y'all know if y'all were unaware. You guys want to read the IndieWire article, I'll leave the link in the description so that you guys can check that out. But this is where we are. This is what's happening in our industry. This is the shit that's affecting those of us who are screenwriters. Oh God. It's fantastic, ain't it?